Hello and warm regards from Next Tire's team. Welcome to another episode of Daily News Analysis. Today is 10th November and let's see the topics that we are going to cover today. The first topic we are having is Ayni Air Base, that is in Kazakhstan, and it is in news because India has now moved out completely from this air base. We are going to see the reasons for that and the implications of that. Then the second topic we are having is nutritional transformation. That is that now we are moving from the calorie based food security towards a nutrition based food security. That is, from quantity we are now moving towards the quality of the food that we are consuming. Then the third topic we are having is tropical forest forever facility. This is in the context of the COP30 that is being ongoing in Brazil right now. Then the fourth topic is about the Malabar Exercise, that is between India and USA and other two countries, and that is also ongoing in Guam in the North Pacific region. Guam is a territory of USA. Then the last topic we are having is the income support. It is about the cash transfers that are political promises during the elections. So we are going to see what are these, what is their impact on economy, what is their impact on the state finances, and what is their benefit for the vulnerable sections, and what are the negative or limitations of these particular promises. So let's start with the first topic. The first topic we are having is Ayni Air Base. What is the new context or what is the backdrop here? The backdrop is that India's only overseas base, now India has ended its operation over this base. So now India has ended its operation over the Ayni Air Base. और इसकी location क्या है? Its location is in Kazakhstan, which is in Central Asia. Now what is the relevance? Relevance is GS paper 2 international relation. Second क्या है? The security part of the GS paper 3. So from both GS paper 2 and GS paper 3, this topic is relevant. But question कैसे पूछा जाएगा? Question will basically from the prelims point of view. Although in the mains part you can code this particular air base. That can be done. So इसको example के form में use किया जा सकता है. Now next thing is that what is the news? The news is that India has ended its operation at the Ayni Air Base in Kazakhstan. Now this was the India's only military air base that was overseas or that is outside of the India. Now this military air base, the reason for moving out of this is that because the bilateral agreement between India and Kazakhstan regarding this air base ended in 2022. So since 2022, India has started moving out of this particular air base. Now if we go for the historical context, the historical context is that India had two military air bases in Kazakhstan. The first one was Farkor Air Base, which was for a 10-year agreement. So between 1998 to 2008, the air base was under India's operation. In 2008, the agreement ended and India moved out of that particular air base. So after moving out of that air base, the only air base India was left with was Ayni Air Base. Now this Ayni Air Base that has been instrumental in providing support to the Northern Alliance in Afghanistan. This Northern Alliance was fighting against Taliban. Now Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021. Now in 2021, when Taliban took over Kabul or Afghanistan, this Ayni Air Base became very instrumental in evacuation processes. That means the Sikh communities, the Hindu communities, whichever the Indian communities were living in Afghanistan, they were moved or they were evacuated through this Ayni Air Base only. So this is the significance of this air base. Now if we see the location of this Ayni Air Base, I am marking Kazakhstan here. So this red mark is the Kazakhstan. Now here blue marked is the location of this Ayni Air Base. Now if you see the Ayni Air Base, it is near to this Wakhan corridor of Afghanistan. Also here is the Xinjiang province of the China, and it is also near to Pakistan. So in a sense, this Ayni Air Base provided a strategic location to India regarding China as well as Pakistan, also to the Wakhan corridor of the Afghanistan. So this was the significance of this Ayni Air Base. Now next thing is that if we go how much investment India did in this airbase. So total of 80 million investment was done, and the work was done by BRO or Border Road Organization. Initially, or this Ayni Air Base is a Soviet era air base, and post Soviet collapse this air base was handed over to India. So India developed this air base, and through a bilateral agreement of 2002 this air base was leased to India for operations for 20 years. Now, if we see what is the strategic implication for India, this air base was the only overseas military air base for India. So now, ending operation in this air base, we have lost India's only operational overseas military base. So this is the first implication of moving out. Second implication is from the strategic presence. So this air base ensured that India's strategic presence in Central Asia. और उससे क्या होता? बिकॉज दिस एयर बेस इज नियर जिंगजियांग, सो हमारे रीच जिंगजियांग के लिए इंक्रीज हो जाती, ऑल्सो टू द वाखन कॉरिडोर, वहाँ पे भी हमारी एयर जो रीच है वो इंक्रीज हो जाती. तो नाउ दिस स्ट्रेटेजिक प्रेजेंस हैज नाउ बीन लॉस्ट. The third one is it helped in geopolitical balancing vis-a-vis to China and Pakistan, क्योंकि दोनों के ही पास था, तो वो भी कहीं ना कहीं हमारी हैम्पर हुई उससे. Then next is security and intelligence void has been created, because when we are having the intelligence, we were having the military base there, so we were gathering the security and military intelligence from that area also. तो वो भी कहीं ना कहीं एक void create हुआ इंडिया के लिए. And lastly, due to this air base, जब भी इंडिया का मिलिट्री एयर बेस वहाँ पे होगा तो इंडिया कैन एक्सपेंड इट्स इन्फ्लुएंस इन सेंट्रल एशिया. तो लॉन्ग टर्म एक्सपेंशन ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस इन द सेंट्रल एशिया हैज ऑल्सो बीइंग हैम्पर्ड बाय एंडिंग द ऑपरेशन ओवर दिस एयर बेस. Now next is the other military engagements of India with other nations or with the in the overseas sense. So पहला तो हमारा मॉरिशस के साथ है अभी. So in 2024 in the Agalega Island, India has inaugurated airstrip and jetty to enhance the maritime reach in the western Indian Pacific Ocean. उसके अलावा भूटान के साथ we are having a military training team which is training the loyal Bhutan army and the royal bodyguards in Bhutan. And if we go in previous times, so in Bangladesh as well as in Sri Lanka, we had temporary military bases. Now they have also, as they were temporary, so they are no more there. Now if we compare with the global level, तो China and USA both are having military bases all over the world. For example, China के पास एक important military base है जिबूती के अंदर, जिबूती है हॉर्न ऑफ अफ्रीका पे. So if this is हॉर्न ऑफ अफ्रीका, जो रेड सी है, this is रेड सी, and this is Horn of Africa, so they are having a military base in Djibouti. So that is a strategic location at which China is having a military base. उसके अलावा United States, they are having more than 100 overseas bases globally. Pakistan के अंदर भी they are having some military bases. Now with this, you are in a position to attempt this prelims question. So attempt this question and post your answers in the comment box, and let's move to the second topic. The second topic we are having is nutritional transformation. Now what is the context? Context is that India is no more looking at the calories. India is now looking for the nutrition. We are no more concerned about food security. We have ensured that we do not have hunger in the country. Now we are focused upon that the food that we are providing, it should be having enough proteins, should be having enough nutrients, should be having enough micronutrients. So that is the focus. So in this context, the backdrop is society's relation with the food and nutrition is evolving. The relevance is from GS paper 3, science and technology development and their applications and effect in the everyday life, and also from the GS paper 2, the hunger and the hunger aspect. Now next is the news. The news is that the nutritional inequality in India is still persisting. There is a urban rural divide कि जो proteins हैं urban areas में ज़्यादा easily available हैं rather than the rural areas. Second is that the adult and the child aspect. The children, 1/3 children in the country are still shunted. They are not getting enough proteins. Also, there is lack of micronutrient in our diet. So there is micronutrient deficiencies in the countries which is widespread. Now, as the economy is growing, the household income is also increasing, and due to that, the expectation from the food is now shifting towards the nutrition. So we are now focusing upon nutritional security. No more we are focused upon the food security. So from the quantity, we are moving towards the quality of the food that we are getting, and our policies or food policies also focusing upon that. We need to balance nutrition, sustainability and climate impact while expanding the food system. And in this context, we are having two important schemes. One is Poshan Abhiyan, another one is National Nutrition Mission. So now the government is focusing upon these two policies, Poshan Abhiyan and the National Nutrition Mission. In this context, functional foods and smart proteins become important. So that's why this topic is from the GS3 relevance, because यहाँ पे हम देखेंगे कि functional foods क्या होते हैं, smart proteins क्या होते हैं, and how they are going to help us in ensuring our nutritional security. So let's see. First one is functional foods. So functional food का क्या मतलब है? These are regular foods that are enhanced with additional nutrients or bioactive compounds that provide health benefit beyond the basic nutrition. For example, राइस है, अगर हम उसको वाइटामिन रिच बना दे तो क्या बन जाएगा वो फंक्शनल फूड. जैसे गोल्डन राइस वी हैव, गोल्डन राइस में वी हैव vitamin A. So these kind of foods which are traditionally being there, now they have been enhanced, so they become functional food. So these are regular foods that have been enhanced with additional nutrients or bioactive compounds. एग्जाम्पल्स हैं विटामिन रिच राइस हो गया, ओमेगा 3 फोर्टिफाइड मिल्क हो गया, आयरन फोर्टिफाइड सॉल्ट्स हो गए, प्रोबायोटिक योगर्ट हो गया. तो दीज आर द एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ द फंक्शनल फूड्स. नाउ व्हाट इज द प्रोसेस? प्रोसेस आर बेसिकली 4 टाइप्स. फर्स्ट वन इज न्यूट्रीजेनोमिक्स. न्यूट्रीजेनोमिक्स का मतलब ये है कि वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी what is the relation between genes and the nutrition that has been provided. So it is the studies showing how nutrition interacts with the genes. Second is biofortification, increasing nutrient content in the crops, जैसे zinc enriched rice हुआ, iron rich pearl millets हुए. Then 3D food printing is there, customizing food with precise nutrition or nutrient composition. Then we are having bioprocessing technique, using biological processes to enhance food functionality. So basically 4 techniques are there. First one is nutrigenomics, then biofortification, 3D food printing, and lastly bioprocessing. Next is smart proteins. So what are these? These are next generation protein sources produced during biotechnology to reduce the dependence on the conventional animal based production. So animal based proteins से हटके जब हम जाएंगे other protein sources पे, उसे बोलेंगे हम लोग smart proteins. तो ये कहाँ से हमें मिलेगा? द फर्स्ट वन इज वी आर गोइंग टू गेट फ्रॉम द प्लांट बेस्ड प्रोटीन्स. सो एनिमल बेस्ड प्रोटीन को हम रिप्लेस करेंगे प्लांट बेस्ड प्रोटीन से. ये कहाँ से आएगा? लेग्यूम्स, सीरियल्स एंड ऑयल सीड्स. सो देयर विल बी रीस्ट्रक्चर्ड थ्रू फूड टेक्नोलॉजी टू मिमिक द एनिमल मीट और डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स. एग्जाम्पल्स हैं सोया बेस्ड एंड पी बेस्ड मीट अल्टरनेटिव्स. द नेक्स्ट इज फर्मेंटेशन डिराइव्ड प्रोटीन्स. Fermentation is done by microbes, so these are produced by microbial system, जैसे yeast हो गया, fungi हो गया और bacteria हो गया, through precision और biomass fermentation. Examples are mycoprotein or whey protein from the microbes. Third one is cultivated or cell based meat. इसमें क्या करेंगे? इसमें animal cells will be grown in bioreactors. So particular animal cell को हम grow करेंगे bioreactors में. That means we are not actually killing the animals. We are now developing protein through culture. The result is meat will be identical in texture and nutrition to the conventional meat. So उसका taste भी उसका texture भी दोनों हम maintain कर पाएंगे through this cultivated or cell based meat. So these are the 3 techniques for the smart proteins. Now next is these smart proteins, what India is doing for it. So in India's context, we are having biotechnology for economy, environment and employment, Bio E3. In this particular policy, India has recognized these smart proteins. Secondly, if you talk about the startups or the industries which are working in this regard, so 377 smart protein products are already available in the Indian markets. Over 70 active brands are engaged like Good Dot, Blue Tribe Foods or Evo Foods. A direct benefit transfer of around 4.5 crore to CCBM for cultivated meat research has been given by the government. So these are the initiatives done by the government. Now one challenge here is that FSSAI, which is responsible for the food quality standards in the country, उसने अभी तक इसको recognize नहीं किया, उसके standards को भी maintain नहीं किया. So that is one challenge that we are having, that FSSAI has to recognize these particular smart proteins. The next thing is global scenario. So Japan 1980 से इन्होंने इस चीज़ को शुरू कर दिया था. Say first introduced and regulated the food products. Now Singapore in 2020 has become the first country to approve the commercial sale of cultivated chicken. So that is a country we can look upon कि उन्होंने इसको कैसे किया and what standards they have ensured. Then China, it is integrating alternative protein into the food security strategy. European Union, it is investigating under the farm to fork strategy to ensure sustainable protein production. And also USA is through several companies is regularly working upon this cell based meat. So these are the global examples regarding the smart protein. So you should be knowing what are functional foods and what is smart protein and what is the difference between two. Now next is what is the way forward for India, what India should be doing. The first one is that nutritional and economic potential. So why we should be promoting the functional food and the smart proteins, because it is having a nutritional protein potential as well as a economic potential. Nutritional potential क्यों है? क्योंकि इंडिया की nutritional security के लिए these smart proteins and functional foods are very important. Secondly, if we talk about in the economic terms, it is expected that by 2030 the plant-based food market will grow from 85 million to 240 billion. सो 85 से 240 बिलियन तक की मार्केट होगी 2030 तक. सो वाई इंडिया शुड नॉट बी इन्वेस्टिंग इन दैट? एंड दिस इज प्लांट बेस्ड फूड मार्केट. India is only an agrarian based country. More than 40% of India's population is engaged with agriculture. That is, major Indian labor force is engaged in agriculture itself. So in this regard, it's a huge potential for India. Then India can emerge as a major supplier and generate jobs in agriculture, biotech and logistics sector. अब challenges क्या हैं? Because this is the second part of the way forward. The challenges involve innovation gap and risk of unverified and mislabeled products, because we are not having proper standards here. Then skill gap is there in biomanufacturing and risk of cooperative concentration is also there. Then public skepticism about the lab made foods need transparent communication, because somehow we are not very much trustful about the lab grown products. We focus upon the naturally grown products. That is one challenge for India. Then policy recommendations क्या है? First and foremost, the FSSAI should be having national regulatory framework for the smart proteins and functional foods. So clear definitions, safety norms and labeling for the novel foods is very much required by the FSSAI. Standards should be set for that. Then ensure interministerial coordination for coherent policy and R&D support, because यहाँ पे साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी वाली मिनिस्ट्री को भी वर्क करना होगा, मिनिस्टर ऑफ एनवायरमेंट फॉरेस्ट एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज को भी वर्क करना होगा, मिनिस्टर एग्रीकल्चर को भी कोऑर्डिनेट करना होगा. सो मल्टीपल और इंटरमिनिस्ट्रियल coordination will be required. Then public private partnership is also very much important in this regard, because the public policy can be there, but the private sector is going to work in the biotechnology sector, which is going to bring about the reforms or bring about the new innovation. Then next is workforce. We need to upskill our agricultural labor force, and we need to launch public education campaigns to build trust and awareness. So these are the policy recommendations regarding the smart proteins and the functional foods. Then you have to attempt this MCQ and post your answers in the comment box. And let's move to the next topic. The third topic we are having is Tropical Forest Forever Facility. News में क्यों है? Because India has said that India is going to join it as an observer. So now we are having COP30 going on, which is going to start in Brazil. In this context, India has said that it is going to join this Tropical Forest Forever Facility as an observer. Relevance GS paper 3, conservation, environment, pollution and degradation. So let's see the news. The news is that currently the Leaders Summit is going on in Belém in Brazil, and this is for the upcoming COP30 climate conference. And in this, India has announced that India is going to join as an observer the Tropical Forest Forever Facility, or TFFF. Now, what is this TFFF? TFFF is a new initiative or new proposed initiative by Brazil. So Brazil ने इसको propose किया था in COP28 Dubai 2023. It said that the countries which are in the tropical area or which are having tropical rain broadleaf forest, which are having tropical or subtropical moist broadleaf forest, they should be incentivized, they should be provided some financial aid so that they are able to stop deforestation and also check degradation. So the basic objective is that if a country is dependent upon the forest resources, so they should be provided some alternative funding so that they do not go for deforestation, and also they can take steps to avoid degradation and to reforest those areas. So that is the objective behind this Tropical Forest Forever Facility. Now this Tropical Forest Forever Facility is going to invest in the capital market, and the profits or the gains from these investment are going to be distributed to the tropical countries. Now next is global support to the initiative. So already Germany, France, Colombia, UAE, Malaysia, Singapore and Norway have approved, or they have said that they are going to support this particular initiative. Germany and Norway are among the largest donors to the tropical forest conservation globally. United Kingdom has declined to fund this TFF at COP30. So we should be knowing which country is supporting it and which country is not supporting it. Even USA has also supported it under the presidency of Joe Biden, that is the last president of USA. In 2024 visit to Brazil, US President Joe Biden also endorsed the facility. Now TFF will be having advisory network that will be included in World Bank, UNDP and OECD. Also conservation organizations will include the Wildlife Conservation Society, Conservation International, Worldwide Fund for Nature and Campaign for Nature. the institutional support in designing the fund's governance, performance criteria and financial sustainability model. Now it will be having two entities. One entity is the tropical forest forever facility and second one is the tropical forest investment facility. This investment facility is going to invest in or manage the investment in the global capitals, and the gains that will be coming out of that will be distributed by the tropical forest forever facility to the eligible countries. Now this tropical forest investment facility, it is a proposed 125 billion fund combining public and private investment. It will be hosted at the multilateral development bank, possibly World Bank is going to host it. Investment are directly primarily towards the sovereign bonds of the global south nation. So that is one more obligation here. So first of all, the amount of the fund will be $125 billion. Secondly, investment kahan hogi? Basically in the sovereign bonds of the global south nations. Profit जो यहाँ से आएंगे, they will be transferred to the TFFF, that is Tropical Forest Forever Facility for disbursement. So basically इसका काम क्या है? इसका काम है investment का. And what is the work of this Tropical Forest Forever Facility? Its work is to give payments to the eligible countries. Now, if we are providing payments to eligible countries, so what is the criteria to identify the eligibility of the countries who are going to get these funds? So first of all, they must have tropical moist broadleaf forest. Second thing is that the deforestation rate should be less than 0.5%. So that is the second criteria. The third one is they should not be falling under the high income category. So for example, Singapore is there, वो high income category में आएगा. So even though they might be having the forest, they will not be getting funds out of this particular fund. Next is disbursement mechanism के लिए क्या criteria होगा? So the basic criteria is that $4 per hectare of the intact forest per year will be given. So that is the rate at which the funds will be provided. Second, if deductions will also be applied if there is deforestation or degradation. अगर degradation होगा तो $400 per hectare के हिसाब से डिडक्शन होगा. अगर degradation होगा तो $100 per hectare के हिसाब से डिडक्शन किया जाएगा. Penalty will not be there if the deduction exceeds the payout. So अगर मान लीजिए payout is $1,000 and if the deforestation is मान लीजिए 1 hectare, so the total amount the country will be getting will be 1000 minus 400, that is $600. Next is the significance और objective क्या है इसका? It is budget neutral performance based model for climate finance, because यहाँ पे what is happening, investment is being done and investment से जो profits आएंगे उसको use करेंगे disbursement के लिए. So it is a sustainable one. Encourages forest rich developing countries to preserve biodiversity while receiving the predictable financial returns. Also, it aims to align conservation incentive with financial markets, integrating sustainability into the investment framework. It strengthens global cooperation towards achieving climate mitigation goals under the Paris Agreement. The next is financial contribution. कौन कर रहा है? Who are contributing? Who are encouraging this initiative? So Brazil has contributed $1 billion. Then Indonesia, Colombia, Netherlands, Norway, and Portugal. They have already made the contribution. They have already promised that they are going to make contribution. France, China, and UAE have also expressed interest in contributing, but they have not given any financial commitments. Now, based upon the discussion, you have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. The fourth topic we are having is Malabar Exercise. This is a news because currently it is going on in the Guam, and Guam is a US territory in the North Pacific region. Relevance is GS paper 2 international relation, and second one is from the GS paper 3, that is the security aspect. Now let's see the news. The news is that exercise Malabar 2025 at Guam is being going on. India की तरफ से INS Sayadri is participating at this particular exercise, and Guam is in the Northern Pacific region and is a part of USA. Now this is a multilateral exercise. Multilateral कैसे है? Because in this India, USA, Japan and Australia are participating, and now these are the permanent members who participate in this Malabar exercise. Now this Malabar exercise earlier was a bilateral one. It started in 1992 and was a bilateral exercise between India and USA. इसका नाम भी बड़ा interesting है. This lower part of India is known as Malabar coast, and first of all the exercise happened here only. तो इसी से इसका नाम आया Malabar exercise. Now it is held alternatively, once in the Indian Ocean and once in the Pacific Ocean. So in the Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea, even in the Red Sea also this exercise can be conducted, Bay of Bengal it can be conducted. In the Pacific Ocean, the East China Sea, the South China Sea and the North Pacific Ocean, this exercise is being conducted. In 2007, this exercise was extended to Japan, Singapore and Australia. Then in 2015, Japan became the permanent member of this exercise, and Australia joined in 2022 this exercise, and it became a quadrilateral exercise or quad exercise. Now based upon the discussion, you have to attempt this MCQ and you have to post your answers in the comment box. The last topic in the decoded section, we are having the income support. Now what is the relevance here? The relevance is the Bihar election और जो बाकी election हुए हैं, recently जो हुए state elections. Now in every state election we are seeing that political parties are promising that they are going to give some financial support to a certain category, for example to women or to elderlies. So that is the context for this particular topic. Now context क्या हुआ? Basically context ये हुआ कि जो हम financial support political parties देती हैं women या किसी भी vulnerable section को, what is the implication of that economically, society के perspective से and from the state's finance perspective. That is we are going to explore here. Relevance क्या है? Welfare scheme for vulnerable sections of the population by center and state and their performance of these schemes or the implication of these schemes. Now इंडिया का सिनेरियो क्या है? इंडिया का सिनेरियो ये कहता है कि in 12 states we are implementing these cash transfer schemes, and the total amount that is being transferred through these cash transfer schemes is 1.7 lakh crores. That is 0.5% of the GDP. अब it is also varying. For example, Chhattisgarh में 1000 rupees per month are being given. In Jharkhand, it is 2500 per month that are being given. Maharashtra and other states are also having this particular provision. Non-participating states, if we see, Uttar Pradesh is there, Gujarat is there, and Rajasthan is there. And in 12 states we are having in which the funds are being transferred on monthly basis to the women. It is similar to free food and farmer support scheme. Direct transfers have shown tangible poverty reduction outcomes. अब देखते हैं कैसे. Now the key questions that we are having is, first one is, do these transfers provide tangible economic and social benefit? ऐसा तो नहीं कि जो हम दे रहे हैं ट्रांसफर्स ये वेस्ट जा रहे हैं, क्या कोई टेंजिबल बेनिफिट इसका है या नहीं है? तो दिस इज द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट वी नीड टू एक्सप्लोर. द सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज हाउ दे डिस्टॉर्ट द फिस्कल बैलेंस और बर्डन द स्टेट फाइनेंसेस. That is second question that we need to discuss. And the third one is the ideological role of state in the welfare and redistribution. Should we be providing this income scheme, or should we be focusing upon job creation? That is the question, the ideological question that we are having. Now let's see the economic and financial support. So the schemes that we are having right now, it covers nearly 100 million women in the country. That is almost 10 crore of the women are covered under these schemes. Now by transferring funds directly to the women's account, it is helping them in economic empowerment, and their dependence upon their husbands or family has now decreased. So it is providing a sense of economic empowerment, economic freedom to the women, and with the economic empowerment comes the social empowerment. So that is very much helpful for the women. That is also helpful because it is being providing choices to the women. Now they can spend this amount upon their education, upon their nutrition or any needful thing that they need. अगर उन्हें कुछ मान लीजिए स्विंग मशीन लेनी है या कोई और चीज़ लेनी है जो उनको हेल्प करेगी आगे के लिए, वहाँ पे वो इसको इन्वेस्ट या वहाँ पे इसको ये स्पेंड कर सकते हैं. तो इन दैट कंटेक्स्ट इट इज़ वेरी मच हेल्पफुल. सो इट इज़ प्रोवाइडिंग ऑटोनॉमी इन एक्सपेंडिचर in the low income households. Secondly, in-kind benefits भी दिए जाते हैं. For example, bus rides are given, laptops are given, cycles, sewing machines, everything is given. These in-kind benefits help in mobility and access to education and employment. Also, they help in social upliftment. So, the support provided to the women in both financial terms as well as in-kind terms is helpful for the empowerment of the woman, and it is very much needed. सेकेंड इज फिजिकल एंड पॉलिसी इम्प्लीकेशन क्या है? तो पहला कंसर्न तो सिंपल सा ये है कि राइजिंग वेलफेयर स्पेंडिंग, और इससे क्या होगा, जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट है वो कहीं ना कहीं अफेक्ट होगा. एंड इन इंडिया वन ऑफ द मेजर रीजन्स व्हाई इंडियन इकोनॉमी इज नॉट ग्रोइंग और इंडियन इंडस्ट्रीज आर नॉट ग्रोइंग इज बिकॉज ऑफ द इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेफिसिट. सो व्हेन वी आर स्पेंडिंग मोर ऑन द वेलफेयर, then we will be having less funds for the infrastructure development. So that is the one concern here. Now इसके साथ साथ the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act although puts the cap or checks this welfare spending, so it should be adhered to. Secondly, ये जो डायरेक्ट ट्रांसफर होते हैं, these direct transfers also enhances the spending power, the expenditure power of the public. जब ये एक्सपेंडिचर पावर इंक्रीज होगी तो डिमांड इज गोइंग टू इंक्रीज एंड दैट इज गोइंग टू लीड टू इंक्रीज इन द इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ. सो कहीं ना कहीं although there is a negative element, but there is also a positive element. So the challenge here is, the challenge that we are having is how we are going to balance welfare and the productive investment. So this welfare spending is also turning into expenditure by the public, which is helping in increasing demand and the growth in the economy. But directly ये क्या affect करेगा? Infrastructure development को. The next is ideological role of the state. The state's responsibility is to ensure fair distribution and social welfare. So कहीं ना कहीं when the financial or cash transfers are done to women, so we are also catering to the poverty alleviation program of the country. Also we are trying to reduce the inequalities. So in that term, the fair distribution terms, it is very much supportive of the state's ideology. The cash transfers like food subsidy directly enhance the living standards. However, prioritizing welfare spending must not come at the cost of productive capital expenditure. That will always be there. Then next is, what is the way forward? The way forward is that unconditional cash transfer serve immediate welfare and empowerment objective. However, sustainable development demands job creation. That is very much important. So for the short term, we can provide these welfare measures, but in the long term, if we want our public or our citizens to be empowered, we need to focus upon job creation, and job creation is going to need skilling as well as more development of the industries. Long term focus should shift from temporary financial relief towards the employment generation and skill development. Cash transfers are effective short-term instruments for the empowerment and poverty reduction, but they cannot replace the enduring benefits of the employment-led growth. So our policy should be aligned towards the employment-led growth. That is very important for us. Now with this, we conclude for the day, and you have this mains question, you have to attempt this, and if you want, you can bring it to us for the evaluation. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you.